It's always important with the guys up front, and that's no matter what level of football you're playing at. If you have continuity there with those 5 guys because of the communication, and certainly you're going to be ahead of the curve. So, again, we've got new players, new positions. Andre James, but he's been here. Alex Leatherwood, very intelligent guy. He's picked it up very quickly. And then the communication with our guards, who are veteran guys, has been great, going out to him on the outside. So, you know, the only way to get better and get that group of players better is for them to play together, and we're going to get that done here in training camp.
Probably the wrong word, but is there a concern about the running back room? You got a new running back coach. You got 3 guys who are out right now.
Well, I think the COVID is obviously still very real and kind of hit us in the face here yesterday. So you never want to have players miss, but that's not the world we live in right now with COVID, and it's unfortunate for those guys to have contacted it or to be in a close proximity that they have to miss time because of that. So, but again, we've dealt with it a year ago, and we'll deal with whatever comes to us this year. But it's hard losing, obviously, Kirby Wilson when we did, but we feel very, very, very fortunate that we have coaches on staff, and Tim Burbanek and Rich Bisaccia, our 2 veteran coaches that have been with John a long time, and so we feel like we've got the position covered.
Greg, there was a lot to like about this offense last year. Points scored, and they took a major step forward from the year before. One area, touchdowns in the red zone, could be better, obviously. When you went back and looked at it, anything that you could put your finger on it? And moving forward, how do you feel like you guys can address that?
Yeah, I mean, there's a number of different issues. Goal-to-goal scoring is really the biggest issue. Not in tight red zone, but when we had the ball on a 1st and goal, we did not score enough touchdowns. And when you look at it again, that's where we try and base where are we at? How many categories against statistically are in the top 10? How many are in the bottom 10? And you want to try and let's get this offense in these top 10 categories. And as you said, we were for the most part, but it'll be a big emphasis here in training camp. It was a big emphasis in the OTAs and the June mini camp to just make sure that the players understand when we get in those situations, the urgency once we get down there in the tight red zone. So we'll have a chance here to fix the situation during training camp and during these, our 3 preseason games, and then we'll hit the ground running when the season gets going.
Jake, be a big factor in that area of the field?
Yeah, you're always looking for skilled players or players to get the ball to. And we feel like capable players right now, every position. Nelson Aguilar will be a tough guy, to replace, but we really feel good about both Brian and Henry right now. And we brought in John Brown, who's looked good. So Willie Sneed, the guy that's come over and has looked very good in the OTAs and looked good here the first 2 days. So we have some capable guys we think can step up. But again, the more weapons that you have, certainly the harder you are to defend down there.
Foster Moreau had a good practice today. Where is he in his development, and how important can it be for you guys?
He looks great right now. And again, you got to realize that a year ago he's coming off that knee surgery, so he missed the entire offseason. He was able to lift weights, from January all the way up here until the start of training camp, and he's spent a lot of time during the summer with Darren Waller. He's gone to the tight end camp that Kittle put on during the summer and got a chance to be around some of the great tight ends in the league. And obviously he's around a great one every day in Darren Waller. But he's bigger, he's faster, he's stronger, and we have real high expectations for him this season.
You mentioned that Alex Leatherwood, you said intelligent, picking it up quickly. What have you seen in the first 2 days that make you say that about him?
Just the volume and what we ask our players to do, really in a 2-day period, what we've asked them in terms of the installation, probably installed over 400 plays in 2 days, and very limited mental reps. We had him in the rookie camp for 3 days. And very few mental, if any, mental errors. So that's the biggest reason. And he had very few mental errors last year during the OTAs and June camps. And you just have a conversation with him about football, and you realize that this guy is an intelligent football player. He's an intelligent person, but a very intelligent football player. And obviously he's looked very athletic as well. So we're excited about his start. We haven't put the pads on. You got temper some of those, high expectations you have, but he's looked very good out here in shorts.
That's Deshaun Reed from the Athletics. Coming back this year, going into the second year, how does John Simpson look? I know last year he kind of had weird year with the truncated off season, but this year having a full off season, how has he progressed?
Well, I know, and Coach mentioned it yesterday. It's hard to evaluate, obviously, the offensive line, really at any position when you haven't done anything in pads yet. But I'd say John Simpson ended up being our strongest player coming out of the off-season program. So tremendous strength and for him, improvement in the weight room over the last 6 months has been phenomenal. So if his work ethic has anything to do with how he's going to take the next step this year, if that has anything to say about it, he'll be a much better player. So, but he gained more weight, he gained more strength, and yet he didn't lose the flexibility or the athleticism that we saw when we drafted him. So we're excited about him.
Lou Ramirez with the Associated Press. Is there anybody coming out of OTAs and coming in that maybe kind of said, we're gonna, got our work cut out for him, but after the first 2 days, it's only 2 days, but that you're pleasantly surprised with, or a little shocked that, that's kind of wide-eyed about?
Fortunately for us on our side of the ball, we've got a number of returning starters, so we had very few holes we felt like we needed to fill. I mentioned earlier, the right tackle position, the center, losing Gabe and Rodney and not having a right tackle. But we feel very comfortable with the guys that we have there and the person that we drafted and Alex and the guys that we brought in to play the inside positions and having Andre here. They're players that have been in our system and know the system. We feel good about them. And then probably the biggest, you'd say one of the biggest losses was Nelson. But again, we drafted Henry Ruggs with the first pick last year, and we felt like Brian Edwards was a guy that could really develop into a great wide receiver. And we're seeing that growth from those two players from year to 1 year two. So I'd say the biggest concern is there something, a surprise or somebody that's jumped out at us right now. It's still kind of too early to say through 2 days. They kind of are who we thought they were when we brought them in and have gone through the drills, at least the individual drill work and what we're doing team-wise and group-wise. So nothing right now has really jumped out.
Greg, you guys brought in Nick Martin, has a lot of starts to his resume. Is he profiling just as a center, or can he get some time at guard?
Yeah, we're playing both. As you guys know, Tom likes to move those guys around. And so Nick will see time at guard as well. Patrick Omama is another veteran player. We've got again, great competition really at every position. And the offensive line, although we lost, people would look at it and say we lost some players there, but we feel like we got great competition, and we've got veteran players like a Nick Martin or a Patrick Omama that have played before. So we feel good, even bringing Sam Young back in here, who played some games for us. We've got great competition, and we'll continue just to move those guys. And Nick is another guy that's picked up the system quickly and really has transitioned to playing the center position as well as both guards.
Greg, yesterday Derek talked about being aggressive last year, more aggressive without, the risk of turnovers. There's that fine balance now going into an 8th starting year. Can you talk about his progression there and what you expect with the new weapons? Will you be more aggressive, or is it always going to depend on what the down and distance is in the play?
Yeah, I think he's a real smart, intelligent quarterback, and he'll do what we ask him to do. And as you know, a lot of it's dependent upon the players that are out on the field with him. So we know he's an intelligent player. We know he's a very accurate player in terms of throwing the football. So we will, when we looked back at what can we do better. Explosive plays down the field is one of those areas that we will look to improve upon. And, it's a mindset too, but I think he's aware of that as well. And he's aware of what we're asking him on every play and what the progression will be and when we want him taking chances and when we don't. But I think, again, through his experience, he should be better moving forward.
Kind of random, but you've been in the league for a while now, and I don't know how often you went up against him, but when you did, with Charles Woodson going to the Hall of Fame, how tough was it to scheme against Charles?
Unbelievable. First of all, so excited for him obviously to be elected, and we knew that was a foregone conclusion. It was going to happen, but just an unbelievable athlete. The one thing I remember of being here, obviously going against him, you always had to plan for him, whether he was at safety or when he was at corner position. And very few guys transition like that, but he was one that was able to do that. But what jumped out at me when I finally had a chance to be around him on a day-to-day basis was what a phenomenal athlete he was and the range that he had. But his athleticism, even late in his career, to me, I think anybody that saw him would say, wow, how can he still do that at that age. And he probably could still go out here and take quite a few reps, early on in practice before he kind of get wore out right now, because you look at him, he looks the same. So just his athleticism was phenomenal. He's a super smart player, I think, as he got later into his career. And maybe he understood that maybe his skills weren't where they were when he was young because of his mindset and his intelligence at playing in the back end. He understood route combinations. He understood quarterback reads and progression. So that allowed him to play a long time because he knew what was going on the other side of the ball. So super intelligent. And, again, you combine that with the athleticism that he had, you're going to have a Hall of Fame player.
Greg, the other day, John mentioned the excitement of like coming out, being in person, and getting in the stadium. Last year, you going on the road, played in some partially filled crowds. With how this town has responded to the Golden Knights, I don't know if you've been to a game, but the way that this offense performs, is that something that could sort of compelling for you to get this electric offense in front of a crowd like that and leading up to the home opener?
No question, and really probably more importantly for our defense to have a home crowd advantage, for our defense out there, making it more difficult for the opposing team's quarterbacks coming in. That's what, we're most excited about. But yeah, to see the excitement in our play. We had a number of players that were into hockey games and got a chance to ring the horn. So they know that this is a town that will get behind them when we win. So they're excited to have home field advantage with the crowd in the stadium. So I think everybody, not just the offensive players, but I think the entire team is looking forward to have the stadium full.
You guys all set? All right.
Thank you, guys. Good to see you. All right. Paul, how you doing?
Good, yourself?
Good.
It's evident when you look at the tape, when we watch film together, walkthroughs, everybody's like dialed in. Like you said, it carried over from the spring. We were on in the spring, came right back day one. Minimal errors, minimal MAs. I mean, it's been great. I can't wait to really get it going and see how everything is at full speed.
You got a rookie tackle over there in Alex Leatherwood, but he kind of carries himself not so much as a rookie. What are your impressions been of Leatherwood?
I'm very impressed, man. He's super athletic. That's off the gate. His mental, he's always working to improve something. He's always communicating with me on what he can do better. Sometimes I got to remind him that you don't have to know, you don't have to do everything. Everything ain't on you. I'm here. I got you. I got your back. We all got your back. So I really like him. He's a good guy.
How fine is that line then between being excited for this fresh start with this fresh, offensive line and being like, oh man, we really rebuilt this offensive line?
I mean, it's the way that the work ethic of these guys, it's been hard to even, think about what was. We had some great guys here, of course, but, we had guys like Andre. He had the best tutor in the world in the NFL, I feel like. Andre's ready to go. We got Richie coming back. Colton is more established. Colton has become a little dominant, this past year. So, we got some, Alex came in, hit the ground running, then I'm going to be a right guard, and I'm always on my stuff. But yeah, I feel very confident in this group, man. I feel like we can do some things, do some great things.
Has it been strange to you that you go from last year having such a veteran group along the line to suddenly it's basically you and Richie are by far the veterans on this offensive line? I don't know, has that been strange for you?
Not really. It's a strange for me to step into the role, as one of the vets in the room. I look around and see everybody young and just full of energy, and I'm having to, catch up to those guys. But it hasn't been that much of an adjustment. You got a guy like Colton. Colton may be in his fourth year, but he carries himself like he's a vet. And Dre, same way. And we got Coach Cable, and he's one of the greatest coaches, O-line coaches in the NFL. So we got all the confidence in our own group.
You see, having fun, Greg, exiting the intro and the camaraderie. Derek yesterday talked about the camaraderie. I'm not sure if you've been to a Golden Knights game. Several of the Raiders have been. The excitement of the crowd. Is there a building excitement to be able to play in front of a crowd finally at that stadium after spending last season not playing in front of anybody but going on the road and having partial crowds? What's it like in the locker room as far as the talk? Man, can't wait to get in that stadium.
Oh, man, there's absolutely a lot of excitement. I went to the O-line went to a Golden Knights game together, and just seeing that energy, seeing how hyped they were just to be in there and just to support the local team. I just can't wait to see Allegiant Stadium opened up to the public and just hear the crowd. I'm ready for it, honestly, because that was a big factor for me in Oakland. You know, like coming from where I came from, when I came to Oakland, it was a big difference. I'm like, damn, this crowd is ridiculous. So I'm ready to see how it is here.
Got a two-parter for you. How was the free agency process for you? And when you came back here, were you thinking you're going to be a starter? That's what you came back and thinking? It's your time to start?
Oh, absolutely, man. Like I knew I had some big shoes to fill. You know, I played a starter role last year. Coming into this year, I kind of knew what to expect. I mean, the Raiders were always my number one team. I didn't really expect to go anywhere else. I didn't want to go anywhere else. I love it here, and yeah, I was looking forward to coming in and just becoming more of a leader. You know, leadership role. Just I'm not a big talker in the locker room or on the field, but I kind of lead by example whenever I can. So I was really looking forward to that.
Tashawn Reed from The Athletic. Greg was talking about John Simpson and him being, one of the, not the best performer in the weight room this offseason.
Oh, yeah.
Just from where he started as a rookie to now, what kind of growth have you seen from him both physically and also from a technique and fundamentals?
Oh, like you said, he was in that weight room like a demon, man. Like he's definitely got a lot stronger, a lot quicker. He's more confident in himself now. That's the biggest change that I see. He's moving faster. He knows his stuff now. So it's just a confidence thing. You know, he don't look at himself as a second-year player, and that's what we need.
You guys all set? All right. Thank you, Denzelle.
Thank y'all.
Tashawn Reed from The Athletic. You guys have added to the safety room this offseason, both through the draft and free agency. How do you feel about, I know it's early, but how do you feel about the group so far and how you all kind of gel together?
I feel really good about the group. I feel like we're going to have a really good secondary this year. Coming out there, we starting to gel together. Some of the guys, we getting really close. So I think that's probably the best thing. But overall, I think we're going to have a really good room.
Johnathan, obviously you're moving closer to the line of scrimmage playing that box safety. You've had an off-season program and now a little bit of training camp. How do you feel about that split?
Pretty good. Just learning, taking a day at a time, just, constantly learning the system, learning, what to look for and things like that. But overall, I feel really good about the move.
This is year 3 for you. How would you compare your mindset and your attitude going into training camp this year as opposed to the last 2 years?
Pretty much the same. The goal is to get better every single day. So just constantly trying to get better and improve myself and help the defense get better.
And then playing up to year 3, John, that's often a really critical year for a guy in terms of his performance and what's going to have the future. Does that play on your mind at all? Or
No, I don't think about things like that. Things like that don't really matter to me. The only thing I'm worried about is getting better every day.
Some areas that right away you'd like to improve right now?
No, just constantly just learning the defense, taking it a day at a time. Nothing in particular.
How important do you think having that off-season program was this year? Not having it last year, having it this year.
It was critical. So, biggest thing is camaraderie, trying to get around some of our teammates. Got a lot of new faces around here. Just trying to build, a bond with these guys. Got a lot of new guys coming in from, like you said, free agency, drafts and things like that. And then also, we got a new defense. So, just getting that jump start, getting a chance to learn it. So, coming back now, we've put a lot in, but it's kind of pretty much everything that we already went over during the springtime.
Ron Miles has a pretty good track record working with defensive backs. How's that relationship going?
Really great. We all love Coach Milo, him, Addie, and his son, Ryan. I think he's a great addition to this group. We have a really great staff. The coach has done a really good job so far. Just looking forward to just seeing what it's going to continue to blossom into.
You talked about the new defense and your role in the defense. Do you think this defense suits you and what you can do best on the field very well?
Yeah. So for me, I'm just looking to do whatever they ask me to do. If they ask me to go deep, I'm going to do that. Play by the line of scrimmage. Whatever they ask me to do, I'm going to try to do it to the best of my ability. So, yeah.
Everybody always talks about Gus Bradley's very positive demeanor. What else stands out about him? What else stands out about your new coordinator?
His honesty. He's very detailed, very straightforward. He's a really great guy. He has the ability to touch people. Every time you have a conversation with him, it's just something about him. People are drawn to him.
John, a little out of left field, but do you have any thoughts and opinions on your alma mater winning the college championship recently?
Nah, go Hell State.
One thing I asked Greg, about having somewhat of a high octane offense and the excitement of getting over there to Allegiant and finally in front of a full crowd. John the other day, Coach Gruden said, that he was excited for it, and Greg said, I'm more excited for our defense to get into it. It's going to fire them up. Is there among the unit just finally being able to play in front of your own home crowd?
Yeah, no, I mean it's a home field advantage, and it's going to be a sold out game every single game. Everybody's going to come out, and with expectations, how we plan on playing, I think it'll be very fun. And I think on third down it's going to be you won't be able to hear anything, truthfully.
One more? Nope. All right, thanks, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Is it important to be a starter or just part of the rotation? Is anyone looking at things along those lines at all?
I think the biggest thing we just trying to focus on is the cohesiveness. Obviously, the depth chart is going to be what it's going to be at the end of camp. But this is probably the biggest D-line group that we done had since I've been here. And it's kind of crazy because we have such a different mixture of guys, like guys that are trying to prove themselves, guys that kind of already established, guys that have had some success early, guys that have kind of been, steadfast in the league like Hank. So it's been good. I think the biggest thing is that we got a good leader in Coach Marinelli. So he talks big on being a collective, being a leader of the defense, which is what we're trying to be. So I think every day we're just focusing on getting better for sure.
Do you think the length of that defensive line room is going to put you guys in better positions late in games, late in season to have more left in the tank to get jobs done?
Definitely. I think we've had that problem kind of the last few years is guys kind of get burnt out because like I said, this has been the biggest group that we've had. And anytime you got a slew of guys that's in the D-line room, or the O-line room, it's always good because, we play a very violent position. So it's been good. It's been good just to have that big body of numbers. So, yeah.
Coach Gruden said the day that you're unique and your best pass rush is probably from the inside. Is that an area of your game you've been trying to cultivate?
Most definitely. Yeah, man, coming out of college, I got asked to do some things that I typically that I'd never done before. So being put in that environment, the first 2 years has definitely been a major learning experience. And I'm continuing to learn and grow as a player. I think the biggest thing is that it makes me I think by the end of my career, it'll make me something that's going to separate me from others, being able to do both inside and outside and try to be dominant at both. So, yeah, I think it's something that, I've had my learning curves I've had some success with already. So we're just trying to put it all together and really put in that big year.
How do you see your role changing with Gus and the new defense?
I don't think the role changes. I think the role just increases with responsibility because with Gus's defense, a lot's put on the D-line. It's very D-line driven. Obviously, with the guys in the back end having to be ready to make plays because we're gonna play a lot of man coverage, and they're gonna let us rush. So it's something to where I love the aspect of, we don't really worry about tendencies. We more so reading keys at all points. We trying to be ready for everything. It's a pass first league, and it's about getting after the quarterback. And I think that's what Gus brings is gonna make us special.
Earlier this offseason, Yannick said that he wanted to push you to be the player that he knows you can become.
Yep.
How beneficial has having Unique in the locker room been to you? And honestly, what player do you see yourself becoming?
Jan's been good. Jan's been really influential to me and to the whole entire D-line, man. Just, obviously, he's a different type of rusher than myself or probably anybody else in the group because he's kind of like that shorter guy with like that quick burst. So he's kind of like I consider like a running back type rusher. But his mindset and his knowledge has been really helpful because he's had a good bit of success in the league, man. And he's kind of wise, so he kind of knows different things as far as how you should work your approach, your hand movements, just your angles. So it's been really dope having him. And for me, I feel like the thing about myself is I've seen different players around the league kind of from present and past that have kind of done some of the same things that I'm trying to do. But I think the best version of myself is something that, I can't really put a ceiling on. So I'm excited, man, just going to keep putting my head down and going to work. So it's been good.
Well, you had mentioned in OTAs, I think you said you were kind of sick and tired of losing.
Yeah, most definitely.
And, you have an off-season behind you guys, a couple of years in the career, a little bit of training camp. Do you feel like the defense is ready to kind of hold up its end of the bargain at this point?
I think we all are. I think the whole team is. I think it's not been just on the defense. I think it's been on everybody. You know, it's a collective, going from front office to coaches to obviously the players is the most important part. So I think definitely the defense is, you know, we trying to step up to the plate of not, I don't want to say hold our own, but we trying to be the reason why. You know, we want to be the reason why we win. We want to be the reason why, you know, other teams fear us. We want to be the reason why we get to play for Super Bowl. So I think that's the biggest thing. We trying to not be our role, but we trying to create our own narrative. So that's the biggest thing for sure. Have a new identity.
Let's do two more, guys.
Hey, have you had a lot of conversations with Solomon Thomas, a former, another first round pick, a lot of pressure on him, and how has any conversation with him helped you?
Oh, me and Solid, we've been training together for going on 2 years now in the off season. So Solid's always, you know, given. He's always been a guy that's been a good guy, and our conversations really more so talk about, you know, just what's our mindset and trying to get better every day. You know, how we doing off the field. You know, just trying to be there for each other because, you know, obviously in the NFL, like it's very like you can be with a guy one day and the next day he's gone. You know what I mean? So I'm just trying to cherish that relationship for sure because I understand like he was the guy that was drafted. He was played inside and outside, so it might be somewhat similar in the standpoint. You know what I mean? But so we definitely pick each other's brains from that side of things. So it's been good. Man, he's my guy. It's my brother. Love him for sure.
Thanks to Sean from The Athletic. I know last year you kind of focused on gaining weight in offseason.
Yeah.
Earlier this offseason you said you were trying to cut up a little bit more.
Yeah.
What do you feel like you are physically now?
Oh, man, I feel good. I mean, obviously, you know, it takes some days getting back ready with this heat, but, man, I feel good. Like last year, I tried to get up to about 275 just because I wanted to be able to hold my own, whether I was inside or outside, and now my strength is really good. So it's really, this past offseason has been about cutting back down. So I try to cut back to that 267, 268 range, you know what I mean? Just give myself some room to the point to where I can really be explosive and not have to worry about that extra 5 pounds of just lagging weight. So it's been good for sure, man. I'm excited. I can't wait till we put the pads on, though. That's when I'll really be able to, you know, get a feel for it.
When you look back at your first training camp and now, what's the biggest difference in you when you see yourself as you grow? What's the biggest ways you've grown since then?
I think my biggest thing is just I'm a man now. You know, when I first came into the league, I thought I was, but it was a lot of things that I was worrying about, you know, off the field, whether it's paying my first bill, house mortgage, you know, everything, or trying to understand where do you buy furniture at, or, you know, dealing with the different pressures of being a high first round pick, you know what I mean? So a lot of things when I first came into the league kind of hit me, and not saying I didn't do well responding to them, but it was kind of like I didn't know the answer. I had to seek out, you know, guidance. So, but now I feel like I'm a grown man. You know what I mean? It's the aspect of it. It's nothing that can really throw me off. It's kind of just my mindset comes in. I'm strong. I know what to expect, and I know what to look for going into the training camp. So it's been good.
Last one. All good?
Yeah, you dealt with COVID-19 last year.
Yeah.
What was that experience like? Did it teach you anything, and has it shaped anything in terms of getting the vaccination or anything like that?
Yeah, last year, you know, getting it was definitely very, you know, very brutal. I mean, I just in the standpoint of, you know, missing 2 games, and man, it was tough on me. Obviously, I understand I had symptoms, man. It's a very real thing, you know what I mean? Like it was very striking for me. And then obviously coming into the offseason, like me, I was always a big component of, you know, never having to force a guy to get it. Just because, you know, obviously there's some people who have never gotten vaccinations for anything. I understand the aspect of, you know, we all in the collective. So, you know, for me, it was just about gaining knowledge on it, figuring out what the best one was to get in that aspect. I am vaccinated. Just got to wait that 14-day period, obviously. But, you know, that was kind of the biggest thing. So that was my biggest fear for it, you know.
Thank you, everyone.